In this session, we will talk about the characteristics of the leaders, followers, and situation, and personal leadership and its quality. That is, the what quality this leader is having. Because it is very important to know that is the whether the individual's personality, right, and how his leadership style is there, and that is matching or it is not matching. Otherwise, it will not continue for long period of time. Then the followership and its type. If you remember, we have talked earlier the three factors, that is the leader, followers, and situation. So whenever we are talking about the followership and then its type, how great leaders inspire followership, becoming a wise leader, cultivating your situation awareness, the Potter and Rauschenbusch model, followership model, the followers' response to change, the what qualities good followers must possess, case study, research paper, and book recommendations with references as usual. So, personal leadership is a desire of an individual to take charge of his or her own life, right? And therefore, in that case, whenever we are talking about the personal leadership, it is it begins when we are deciding to be your own coach, right? So, that is a leadership for the personal itself, by knowing ourselves, and they live by a personal mission statement that reflects our values and life goals are there. So, therefore, in that case, the day we started coaching ourselves, and then there will be a personal mission statement. That is what I want to do. And definitely, when we are talking about the leadership, so leadership is what? Leadership is the creation of the vision. Vision here we are talking about the vision for oneself, leader himself, and therefore, according to that vision, a personal mission statement will be there. And this to achieve this goal or that meeting that objective of the mission statement, right? So that will reflect our values and life goals are there. That is what we want to do. These leaders share strong personal bonds with followers, right? And in that case, even when the leader occupies a formal organizational role is there. So therefore, in that case, it is the between the leader and followers to have a strong personal bond, right? So whenever we are talking about developing the personal leadership, right? So there are certain characteristics are there, the qualities are required. So here are some personal leadership qualities we can cultivate within ourselves to use our positive strengths and talents for our success and the benefit of those we live and work with. The first like the vision, self-discipline, spirituality, integrity, honesty, open communication, kindness, and the legacy building is there. So therefore, first and foremost is the vision, that is the creation of the vision. So how do we create our vision? Our goal is there. So whenever we are creating the vision, then definitely in that case that is the goal which we want to ultimately achieve. And the self discipline is there, like for example we talk about the time management, right, or we talk about the moral emotions, we talk about the moods control, right. So therefore that self discipline will start with the personal leadership qualities are there. Then the spirituality is there, so therefore we will be developing the spiritual quotients, right, and that is the spirituality will be developed on the basis of that whatever the IQ, EQ is supporting to our spirituality. And integrity is there, and honesty, integrity, honesty, and open communication. So therefore in that case the way we are having the interaction with our followers, that will be also decided by the leader. So these qualities are very important. Now whenever we are talking about the followership, so followership demonstrates the capacity to willingly follow a leader. So therefore in that case that is the it is also requires certain its qualities, right. Everybody will not be a good follower, right. Many times it is in the beginning itself the person becomes the follower, later on it is found that he is deviating, right, he is changing his leader. So therefore in that case it is important, that is the what is the capacity to willing follow a leader is there. So everybody will not follow the leader in direction which he gets in line, right, for the long time, right? And it is a team and to deliver on what is expected of you. So, effective followers are active participants in creating the leadership process, right. So, it is a social relationship between the leader, follower and the group is there. So, that active participation in creating the leadership process is which will develop, right. Now, here the follower has to develop that willingness, right. So, then only he will be a part of the team, and then he will be the having the strong bonding with the leader for long period of time, and whatever is expected from him, then he will be able to fulfill those expectations. So, like this way there will be the different followers, different types of the followers will be there, and a researcher at Harvard Business Review developed a system for categorizing the followers using two metrics: one, active versus passive, and two, independent critical thinking versus dependent uncritical thinking is there. So, there are the 5 categories of the followers are there. There is a survivor right in the middle of the scale. These people are adept in surviving change, and they are able to adapt and conform to the situations around them. Whether this means stepping up to take on an important task or the quietly staying in the background is there. So, therefore, here it becomes very interesting, that is they will be having the adept at the surviving change. These are the passive people who do not think critically and do not have a strong sense of responsibility, and therefore, in that case they just follow the leader. So, therefore, this type of the followers they will be calling as the sheep followers are there. So, survivor followers on one side, they are adopting at the surviving change, right, while in the case of the sheep they are having not making much differentiation, and therefore, they are just following the leader without having any critical thinking, whether it is right or it is wrong, I should follow or I should not follow. So, in that case after the survival and the sheep type of the followers, on basis of this a lot of followers research has been done. Now, here the Robert Kelly's 5 followership types we will discuss, and that is the dependent and uncritical thinking, right, and the independent and critical thinking on this and other side is the active and the passive is there. So, whenever the active and dependent and uncritical thinking is there, right. So, that will be the yes people. So, these are this type of the followers, they will always say the yes is there, right, and whenever there will be the passive and the dependent and dependent, right. So, then that will be the sheep type is there. So, there is no uncritical thinking also. Now, whenever they are the passive and independent and critical thinking, right. So, that is the alienated followers are there, and whenever there is an active and the independent critical thinking is there, so they are the effective followers are there, right. So, definitely in that case what is required from this, what we understand, that what qualities are required in the follower. So, follower is required to be the active, and follower is required to be having the independently be able to do the work. It does not mean that he is totally dependent on the leader, and therefore he should have should not have this uncritical thinking, rather than he should be having the critical thinking. So, yes people are those who will readily act when told what to do, but depend heavily on leaders for guidance. They do not tend to be proactive. And alienated followers, these are independent critical thinkers who are not proactive in their roles. They can effectively carry out their roles, but there is often an undertone of the dissatisfaction, and that prevents them from the fully embracing their work and contributing to their fullest potential is there. So, here when we are talking about these alienated followers are there, in many organizations we find that is this type of these followers, right, and they find themselves alienated, right, and the effective followers which is the required ultimately. So, these are the independent critical thinkers who follow through the enthusiastically. Effective followers can succeed without leadership, but respond to it well, making them ideal independent employee who also work well in teams is there. So, what is required? So, whenever we want to see the effectiveness of an individual, even in the absence of that individual, whether the work is done or not, right. So, if the people the person the follower means that he is having the independent employee and who also works well. So, that is the objective and that is the developing of the competency of the follower. So, leader will be also happy because leader does not want that the follower as a burden, right, rather than the follower as a strength. Here we take a look at the how leaders can inspire followership, embrace the concept of servant leadership. Servant leadership is a concept that was introduced by the Robert K. Greenleaf and that we have talked in the earlier session also. Leaders must be servants. The difference manifests itself in the care taken, right. This is very, very important. That is the, in fact, whenever we are talking about the servant leadership, then in that case it is required to be care taken by the servant first to make sure that other people's highest priority needs are being served, then the delegate strategically. So, employees want to feel that they are making meaningful contributions that require an understanding of how what they do makes a difference. So, therefore, in that case that is the way, because the leader, right. So, to inspire the follower they give the opportunity, and to give the opportunity you have to delegate. So, this delegation has been done and understanding of how what they do makes a difference, right. And when you give the delegation, then you find that is the followers are doing very well that job. Effective delegation will help to shape this connection, and therefore, in that case because that delegation is given, so in, the follower will be also have a positive thinking towards the leader is there. So, that will be making the strong relationship. Listen deeply. Employees need to know what they are being heard and that their inputs are being objectively considered, right. So, naturally to inspire the followers we have to listen them. So, they should feel that they have been heard and their inputs are being objectively considered, even and especially if these inputs involve perspective that are outside of the status quo. But with my practical experience I can say that is this type the inputs can be used in future also. So, there is nothing wrong to taken the inputs in the current situation, however, maybe with that in the current situation they are not that relevant. Give clear specific recognition, right. So, giving clear and specific recognition is a great way to encourage the followers are there. We follow people that we trust, and but while we may intuitively feel that trust in leaders is built based on their ability to exhibit the trustworthiness, right. So, that they will support our efforts, be honest and transparent in communications, and have our backs, there is more to it than that. So, therefore, in that case it becomes very, very important, that is what is the relationship between the leader and follower, if there is a trust or not. So, even when they are not present, leader is not present, they understand that yes, this will be appreciated by the leader. So, becoming a wise leader, cultivating your situation awareness. So, leadership without wisdom is not true leadership. Situation awareness is the perception of elements in the environment, the comprehension of their meaning and the projection of their status in the near future. So, 4 strategies on improving your managerial wisdom is there. Now, shifting focus from short term gains gratification towards the longer term strategies. This is always important. So, therefore, it is required that is the we are having these long term strategies, and we do not focus only on the short term gains. Continuously reflecting on particular situation, what happened, example, counsels of others to learn from experience. Understanding the limit of your knowledge, skills and abilities, right. And here I would also like to add the hobbies, right. So, therefore, in that case what type of knowledge, what type of skills, what type of abilities and what type of these hobbies the follower is having. So, expanding your practical knowledge by developing the ability to interpret the situations, accumulating a repertoire of possible responses and implementing a chosen response skillfully. And therefore, in that case whatever we are making whatever job we are doing, we are accumulating it, and when we are accumulating it, then it works very successfully. Dr. Micah Andersley, a leading scholar on situation awareness, identified 3 levels where it can be developed: the perception, comprehension and projection. right? There is a situation awareness is there, and therefore in that case how do we perceive, how do you and then how we, our perception we are making the comprehensive, and the projections are there, and accordingly there will be the decision and actions will be taken. So, what is most important is situation awareness. The leader should adopt the leadership styles according to the situation, and he should be aware about that, and that awareness will come only if he is the target, right, in the situation, the perceiver, and the target means subject, that subject of the perception, that is very clear. So, if the perception is very clear, then definitely in that case that will be having this comprehension and projection very strong, and when there will be a strongly situation awareness is there, so that will create a state of the environment. Now, we have to also understand that is why it is necessary. It is necessary because whenever we are talking about the state of the environment, it is giving us the decision making power, and when we are talking about the decision making power, it will give us the action. When these actions are created on the basis of the individual and capability of the leader. So, in the perception of elements in the environment, the first step in achieving situation awareness is to able to perceive the state, characteristics and dynamics of relevant elements in the environment is there. So, whenever we are talking about the perception, in the perception the characteristics and dynamics of relevant elements. What are the relevant elements are there? The relevant elements are the organization culture, organizational power, organizational politics, situational capabilities, the dynamics of these, the personalities of the followers, then the environment, right. So, all elements in the environment, that is all will be the has to be taken care. Employee attitude, behaviors, performance, motivation, or warning signs of employee dissatisfaction, burnout or interpersonal conflicts are there. The comprehension of the current situation is based on a thorough analysis of all first level elements. It goes beyond simply being aware of the elements that are presented. So, therefore, in that case definitely these comprehensions of the current situation will be that the person will be aware of the elements which that are presented, and if the thorough analysis is done and the elements which are presented and they are very useful and relevant and informative, then definitely in that case we will be a good decision maker, and one not only needs to draw a holistic picture of the situation, not necessarily with sufficient knowledge on level 1 elements, but also have the ability to understand the significance of those elements in relation to one's goal. A very beautiful point is this. So, therefore, in that case do not worry if you are not having the clear picture of the situation at the level 1 knowledge on level 1, do not worry, right, but at least have the understanding of those elements of these situations. Level 3 projection of future status, this level is achieved through the knowledge from elements of the first 2 levels, and use this knowledge, right, to project the future actions of the elements in the environment. This level is especially important because the ultimate goal of the building situation awareness is to utilize the information collected to predict the most likely outcomes as a result of these elements, and to use the information to decision making is there. So, therefore, in that case whenever we at the level 3, right, it is whatever we have perceived from the level 1 and level 2. Now, ultimately we have to give a awareness of the situation, and that information which has been collected, so that must be projected. So, that projection is important. So, on the basis of your decision you will take the projection. The description of the models are as follows: the Porter and Rosenberg's followership model. So, based on the 2 independent dimensions, follower performance level and the strength of the leader follower relationship. So, the performance initiative dimension is concerned with the extent to which an individual follower can do his or her job, and they works effectively with other members of the team, right. So, embraces the change and views himself or herself as an important asset in team performance is there. So, therefore, the job workers which are effectively working with other members of the team, right? Those all these views, right, and those changes that leader has to consider and for the purpose of the assets in the team performance is there. So, the follower performance levels, right, that is having the highly concern, and naturally because the ultimate goal which is you are going to achieve, that will depend on the followers performance, right. And if follower performance level is 1, 2, 3, so that will depend upon the leadership's involvement and the leadership direction. And in that case, that if individual follower can do this his or her job, right, and work effectively, then there is no worry about this to the leader, right. And in that case, because the follower is doing his job very well, so there will be less interference by the leader. The relationship initiative dimension is concerned with the degree to which followers act to improve their working relationship with their leaders is there, right. So, that is the relationship dimensions is there. The Porter and Rauschenbusch model state that the situation plays an important role in effective followership, but it may not take into account the role that ineffective leadership plays in followership, right. So, therefore, in that case the situation has to be given the very important is there. So, relationship is the low and high, and the performance is low and high. So, if the relationship is low and performance is low, then it will be subordinate. It is performance is low and relationship is high, that is the politician is there, right, and the performance is high and the relationship is low, that is a contributor, and the performance is high and the relationship is high, that will be the partner one will be there. So, Porter and Rauschenbusch's followership model that clear cut giving an indication, right, that is the how you can make the use of the relationship and the performance of the follower to create the effective leadership is there. And ultimately goal of the creating the effective leadership will be that is creating the partners are there. So, but these people work harder in impressing their boss, these politicians, right, and actually getting their work done. They are often very loyal to their leaders and build strong relationships, but low performers are there, right. So, that is why they are called the politicians, and these are you are the best of the best. These are the high performers who are highly committed, they have strong interpersonal skills and good relationship with their leaders is there, and they understand their leaders' vision while also challenging them to take it a step further. Subordinates, they do what they are told, follow the rules and stay out of the trouble, but are below average performance and do not have very strong relationship with their leaders is there. So, contributors are the while these people do not have an interest in building relationship with their peers or leaders, they are motivated by the subject matter and very hard worker is there, and therefore, in that case they are making this contribution is there. So, ultimately what is the learning? Learning for you is that what I will advise is that identify where you are, whether you are into the politician or into partner or subordinates or in the contributors is there, and what you should be, right. So, naturally on the basis of this understanding of the concepts, we can say that every follower should be a partner, and when he is a partner, then definitely in that case he will develop that particular the career path also, right, and naturally and that followership will be strong. Malicious compliance is there, follower response to change, and this occur when followers either ignore or actively sabotage change requests, right. So, therefore, many times the leader wants to make certain changes, right, and the follower is not ready to make those changes. So, therefore, that will be malicious compliance will be there, and compliance will be there, response to change. This takes place when followers do no more than abide by the policies and procedures surrounding the change request, right, and therefore, in that case this will be the he is having the completely following those rules and regulations. Cooperation, followers willingly engage in those activities needed to make the change request to become reality, and therefore, in that case it is a cooperation. So, whatever the changes the leader wants to bring, and then he is supporting those leader that particular changes. The commitment is follower embrace change request as their own and often go to the extra mile to make sure work gets done. And therefore, in that case, that charismatic and transformational leaders are adept at getting followers committed to their vision of the future, and it is a commitment is there. So, leader will be able to get the commitment from the followers whenever he is bringing those particular changes, and follower is making those embracing those changes and adopt those changes, as a result of which the leadership will be the effective and followership will be better. My business journey, what qualities of good followers must possess now. So, if you want to be really an effective and efficient follower and a good follower, so according to the my business journal, it isolates the qualities of a good follower in the business world. It is given the judgment. Followers must check the direction, but not blindly. Good judgment is required to establish the difference between following good instructions, following or containing instructions that are ethically inappropriate or constitute unsportsmanlike behavior, right. So, therefore, in that case you have to do the judgment what has been asked you to do, and then it does not mean that whatever has been is suppose something is unethical. Please do not do that, right. So, that judgmental whether this doing this thing is right or wrong, and then that is very important. Competence, in order to follow, followers must be competent and they must have the relevant knowledge and skills to play their position, whether they play on offense, defense or the special teams are there. So, therefore, in that case follower must be really the competent person. So, unless until they are having the relevant knowledge and skills, then they will not be successful. Like you see that you are required to be the partner, then your competency level that has you have to increase. Unless and until you do not increase your competency level, then you will not be a good follower. So, to be a good follower, that cannot be compromised, competency cannot be compromised. Honesty. Followers have a responsibility to be honest. Respect and politeness are important, right. So, therefore, in that case this is the very necessary that he brings the transparency. Honesty means what? That is the with the respect and politeness, right, he is able to offer constructively critical feedback. So, it is not criticism, it is the feedback, and therefore, the corrective actions are to be taken, and he should be that much honest to give that particular feedback. Courage takes the real courage to confront a leader about concern with the leader or that leader's agenda, and if he finds something is wrong, he should be able to communicate. And discretion, followers owe leaders discretion. Talking about the sport, teammates, coaches and other staff inappropriately is at best unhelpful and more likely harmful is there. So, therefore, in that case it is the that leaders discretion that has to be followed, and the loyalty is important and relies on the strong alignment and the commitment is there. We always talk about this, that is unless and until the loyalty is not there, that leadership will be incomplete. To complete the leadership, it is very necessary that is the follower, he is having the strong loyalty towards the leader, because loyalty is not only a skill, but it is the respect for the leader. The work ethic. So, good followers are good workers, they are diligent, motivated, committed, right, and therefore, they pay attention to the details and make the effort. So, therefore, they are hardworking, right, and they keep on doing the job. So, highly diligent, and they are doing this job not because of any reason, but highly motivated, because without self motivation, we have talked about the intrinsic motivation and leadership. Unless and until there will not be the intrinsic motivation, and how you can continue the followership, right. So, therefore, that motivation will make you the committed towards your leader, and not only at the surface acting, but it is at the deep level, and therefore, they pay attention to detail and make the effort is there. A very interesting point is there, that is the ego management. Now, you see there are many times, because the leader is in the position and many times he communicates in a way which hurts the ego, ego of the follower. So, good followers have their egos under control, and they are team players in the fullest sense of the concept, right. So, they have good interpersonal skills. The success for good followers is always depending upon they are able to manage their ego is there. And as usual, we will be having the case studies and research papers and the book recommendations for you. So, this Bob Knowling was a former member of the Hewlett Packard, right, shell exploration. This case study, that is the how he has done his leadership, that you will find, and in this situation how that he has been doing the effective leadership with the changing of the situation. So, therefore, in that case how the situation has been changed. So, this will be assignment for you. Does Bob Knowling use a rational or emotional approach to drive change? Right. So, therefore, in that case what will be creating the impact on the followers? Do you think it is possible to teach leaders how to implement the change? And therefore, if you think that yes, the leaders can be taught, right, that is how the change is to be managed. So, change management and leadership, that is the very interesting another the concept, that is the yes, if you want to bring the effective changes, you can do that particular the leadership style. This is the research paper. And do follower characteristics moderate the leadership and the employee engagement, right? And we have talked about the employee engagement and leadership that session, and therefore, in that case to create that employee leadership into the followers, right. So, create that vigor, absorption and dedication, right. So, this moderate leadership is very, very important. This paper talks about that, right, and these papers will be giving you an idea, that is the how we can increase the employee engagement. And this is the book, Leadership for the Follower, commitment is there. And whenever we are talking about the increasing or gaining the commitment of the follower, right, and making them to be the partner in our leadership the process, then this book will be really helping you in the extent, that is the you will be able to create a more follower commitment. And this is the research based case studies are there, the practical managerial experiences. These are the references from where this material has been taken, and for your further studies in detail, you can use these references. This is all about the leadership and the followership, right. That is how you can create the series of followers. Thank you.